Good morning, awesome people. Welcome to Kisumu Karateng in Western Kenya, where the sun hits just right. One of my subscribers suggested that we should be dropping March soon, and maybe we might get there, friends. So I recently ran across a story that is really heartbreaking of a young man in diaspora who conspired with his wife to poison his own mother. And the reason is very simple. They had calculated a plan that would let them send their old mother to one of these homes where old people are sent to wait for death. So they could take her money and live an amazing life. As we speak right now, reportedly, the young man and his wife are in jail. And the story is really sad. So I'm going to walk you through this story just to explain to you why some of us are not prepared to grow old in America. Why some of us are not prepared to depend on other people as we age. But before we do all of that, friends, just look at what we are waking up to. There is nothing more satisfying than opening up my windows and looking at this behind me. I'm going to show you something. These flowers here, I think this is hibiscus. This is the sort of stuff that I wake up to every morning. Just look at that. Flowers everywhere. And when you pay attention, you notice a lot of life everywhere. We talk about insects, you're talking about plants, birds, cows, and all that stuff. There's a lot of life in the village, friends. If you're new to my channel, I'm Wonodede, living my best life in the village in Western Kenya. I help folks with returning to Africa. It doesn't matter whether you are Kenyan or non-Kenyan. We do everything that involves returning to Africa, whether it means building the structures you see behind me, whether it means finding landscapers and things like that. Hit my number below if you need help. But folks, I am just living the best part of my life in the village, man. It's not as bad as you think. I know people say all kinds of things about the village, but I've been here long enough to tell you for sure, the village is not as bad as you think. You don't have to be rich. You just need to be comfortable, just basic comforts, and you'll be okay, friends. So I'm going to tell you a story about this young man and his wife who attempted to kill their mother just so they can live a luxurious life. And part of the reason I'm sharing this story with you is that there are a lot of people who are planning to move to Africa. And growing old in Africa is not the same as growing old in diaspora. But at the core of this story is just the reality that money is a very powerful tool. It can bring the best in us, but it can also bring the worst in us. And so this is an example of a story where money just brought the worst out of this young man. So apparently, his 70-year-old mother had a business that she just sold, and sold it at some really good marker. And so this young man and his wife decides they could make better use of the money as opposed to their mother. And so they organize some kind of a party. And in this party, the wife decides to buy poison. And as people are drinking and merrymaking, she decides to slip in the poison in the mother-in-law's drink. Too bad for her, unfortunately. At the time she's slipping this poison, this old woman sees what she's doing. But you know, one thing about growing old is that you gain certain insights that will serve you for a long time. And so this 70-year-old woman sees her daughter-in-law slip something into her drink. And the drink that was just actually in her favorite glass. So then she sees this and just keeps quiet, accepts the drink and pretends she's going to drink it. But in the process, she switches the drinks, puts it back and takes another one. And then unfortunately, her daughter-in-law's mother takes the poison drink, then collapses in this party, and pandemonium breaks out. So everybody's panicking, and of course they're calling 911 and all that stuff, and then they rush out to the hospital. But the old woman who was supposed to die is just, of course, acting concerned, but watching what's going on. Long story short, the other woman who mistakenly took the poison didn't die. She survived. But of course, this triggered a police investigation. So things happened to the point where it became pretty clear that this young man and his wife were attempting to kill the old woman, 70-year-old woman. So the 70-year-old woman, after realizing all this, goes back and changes everything on her will to make sure that nobody is able to take her property. Because as she's investigating, she finds out that actually her daughter-in-law already took $500,000 life insurance policy. And plans had already been put in place, including doctors being paid to declare this 70-year-old incompetent. There's something they call power of attorney in America. I don't know if we have it in Kenya. We probably do. Could probably call it something else. That gives a person the power to really control your life, whether financially, medically, and all that stuff. And if they get that, and they are not so good people, you are in trouble. You are in big trouble. And this young man and his wife were counting on having a system to declare this woman incompetent, putting her in an old people home, and taking away everything she has. But unfortunately, this plan fell through. So the 70-year-old woman decided to go change her will. And of course, the police investigation is going on. They find out all that is going on. These two rascals get arrested and charged. So what this illustrates to me again is that as we grow older, suddenly we are going to depend on people. But one of the things that I am very passionate about, especially as we come back to Africa, is setting up a life that does not require us to depend on people's goodwill for things to happen. Because elder abuse is very rampant, both in Kenya, both in Africa and in diaspora. Although fortunately, it is far, far less common in the village. I've seen people do all kinds of terrible things to their grown folks in the village too. But elder abuse is on another scale in diaspora. People can put systems in place that gives them the ability to really abuse elders. And by the time they find out, you're already messed up. So if you're planning to move to Africa, yes, I know you think this is a rare thing. All I say is make sure that whatever financial arrangements you put in place, you are not going to depend on people's goodwill for them to do the right thing. And there are options for that. There are attorneys that help with things like that. So that when you're putting your financial house in order, you are not going to depend on people to be nice for you to be okay. Because, as I said earlier, money has a way of changing humans. It can bring the best out of us, and it can also bring the worst out of us. As I live here in the village, I have seen people with money take their finances and use it to transform families in ways that are unbelievable. When I see people paying tuition fees, building homes, I see just ordinary folks who have returned, really invested in the community and doing well. But at the same time, whenever money shows up, there are humans who become something else. So I hope that whatever plan you have, you are not going to depend on people to be nice. There are legal processes you can put in place that will run their course whether or not people are nice. Because your kids may be wonderful right now, but you never know what happens. Because like in this case, this young couple apparently were going through extreme financial distress. Lots of loans, business faltering, multiple mortgages. They were just going through extreme financial hardships. And sometimes those extreme circumstances can bring out the worst in us. And so for them, they saw their mother or mother-in-law as their ticket out of poverty, their ticket out of their problems. And they were willing to kill this woman. They were willing to actually send her to an old people's home. I've had people in my life that run old people's homes, And they tell me countless stories about children who are completely neglecting their old ones while living off the money that was made by these old people. It happens a lot. In the village, it is far less common. I know elder abuse happens in the village, but it is far less common in part because culturally we are raised to believe that elderly people can curse you or can bless you. And it is our responsibility to take care of them. In fact, I was talking to another friend of mine about an old woman who has lost all of her 10 kids. She's by herself. Worked very hard, but of course, at home here, there are no good retirement systems. And it is literally the neighbors who are feeding her. The neighbors that are making sure that she has food. She's now blind, completely blind. She still has land, but has no way of telling the land to produce food. So it's the neighbors who are making sure that that old woman is eating. These stories are not uncommon. In the village, there's a whole lot of that. Of course, you'll find a few cases here and there where elders fall through the cracks. Some of them die out of hunger. That happens, but it is far less common. So if you live in diaspora and you're planning to come to the village, your diaspora finances should be set up in such a way that you're not going to depend on the goodwill of your children or people around you, hoping that your nice child will be nice enough to take care of you. That would be a big mistake. Same thing with the living here at home. Be as independent as possible. Whatever we set up here, I don't even depend on the government for anything. I have my own power. I've got my own water. I've got my own, I don't need anything from the government. When you do that, you're better able to live a dignified life. And sometimes I say that maybe the best revenge for people who have spent a lot of time giving us hell is to live a good life. I think it hurts them to see you living well after everything else they've tried. So I hope this story is going to be informative to you guys, and I will see you in the next. Welcome to Karating.